Better Together podcast.
Welcome to the Better Together podcast from the Fuquay Arena Chamber of Commerce. We are recording today from the Dashmore Conference Room and Studio, sponsored by Rescued Wood Rehab. The Better Together podcast highlights local businesses each week as the Fuquay Arena Chamber of Commerce continues to promote an amazing business community. I'm Brad Marshall from Greater Culture CrossFit here in Fuquay Arena, and I'm joined by my wonderful co-host Marty Woodward from Rescued Wood Rehab. Marty, how are you?
Brad, I'm doing great. I'm doing great. I'm super excited because we have a fantastic guest today. And Olivia Scott, the owner of Promotional Partners in Apex, joining us. Thank you so much for being here.
Absolutely. Appreciate you having me. I love how this has all come together, and this is gorgeous.
Well, thank you. It is a beautiful table. And so tell us about Promotional Partners.
Where would you like me to start?
How about at the beginning?
At the beginning. So the origin is that you have myself and my husband. I'm an artistic, creative person. My husband is scientific. And the two of us decided after 20-some years of marriage that we should go into business together. So we did. Started that in 2007. We are woman-owned, so we were getting ready to embark on almost 2 decades in business together, and we're still married. So we got wood here, knock on wood. Still
That's
still
fantastic.
making that work. So yeah, so it's definitely been a journey. A lot of things to learn.
This was an inspiration that you just decided you were going to do something and open the business. Was there an inspiration point or something that inspired you?
Inspiration was my husband needed a nuke on the side of his environmental and testing and scientific, and he said we should do this together. And I'm like, really? And he's like, we should. I'm like, really? And we did. So
yeah, that's fantastic.
We did.
That's a great story. So, opening a business is difficult, and running a business. What type of challenges did you face when you got Promotional Partners going?
All of the above. First of all, you hang a shingle and you just assume everyone wants to work with you. Everyone does not, and everyone needs to know that you exist. So it's getting people in the door. It's getting people to know that you exist. They can do business with you. It's all the things that cost money, rent and overhead. Luckily, in the beginning, it was just the two of us. So good and bad. You didn't have other people that you were paying, but you had to wear every hat. So you had to do the deliveries, and you had to be the receptionist, and you had to be the person that's physically there when something needs to be done. You were the salesperson. You were the cleaner. You were the marketing. You were the social media presence. All of those things. So yeah, a lot of things to do.
So, what are some unique aspects of Promotional Partners that you can tell us about?
So I think that anyone who thinks that we just sell a promotional product really has lost sight of the magic of that value add that we bring to our client relationship. Being a creative person, ideation is not a problem for me. I always say I don't need to sit on a big round ball or hold something special. It just kind of just innately comes out. So as a result of that, our collaborations incorporate marketing strategy. We also have in-house graphics. So we have 2 people on our team that are professional graphic artists. We actually have 3 if you consider the fact that I don't typically do the graphics, but instead of working with just one person one-on-one, you have 3 different people with 3 different thought processes. So it's interesting sometimes to see when we're doing like a logo package or a rebrand or something that needs a more comprehensive guide, to see how people gravitate towards things, because we don't present them as individual. We present them as one entire thing. So people will go through, oh, I like that. Oh, could we pull a little bit of that? Oh, that's interesting. So, it's interesting to see how they can meld together those creative sides. And then being the age I am, I'll go ahead and say it, 61. We were laughing before the podcast started that, years ago you waited for the Sears and JCPenney catalogs so you could tab the pages. Then you got excited because they had it at the mall and they had the little pop-up and you could see it. this industry is all about touch and feel, and it's all about making that connection through touch and feel. So we had a showroom since the very beginning. It once was one little room that was not much bigger than this room, and now we have 3,000 square feet where people can come and look and try it on and touch and feel. So those are just some, I guess, key differentiators.
Yeah, it's really helpful to get an idea of some of the products and the services you offer. So, looking at through the lens of somebody who wants to maybe reach out to you, a
Yeah.
small business that hears this podcast, that sounds interesting. You
Yeah.
talk about marketing and branding. What would that journey look like as somebody reaches out to connect with you?
A lot of times it just depends on the person. So some people are, very straightforward. I have a need. I'm doing XYZ, this show, this event. I need a tent, or I need a sign, or I need some pens, or I know already that I want this type of gift, or I want a Stanley, or, whatever the thing is. So some are very straightforward. And I hate to use the word transactional, but it's quick. They know what they want. They either already know the brand or they come and look, and it's very quick to go from point A to point B. Other people are looking for much more, and it doesn't really matter the size of the business. I think that's one of the interesting things in all of this time is that some people just really want to play around with ideas and concepts, or they want to really start getting into what's the why behind why I'm doing it. So for some people, the journey is much longer, or they have other people who are involved in the process. Despite the fact that we have a showroom, some people never actually come to it. We have clients that are located nowhere near here. They're in other parts of the United States, or we have a couple global clients. So sometimes you will be doing things where you're just doing a virtual, and we're pulling things and showing things. So it's about meeting somebody where they're at, and what do they need, how much information, how little information.
Yeah, and I think that takes a lot of stress off of a small business owner, because you mentioned you wear all the hats. And so if you start thinking about marketing and what are we going to do, how do we get our name out there,
Yeah.
it's great to work with a professional who can walk you through some ideas and some steps. And so I imagine over 18 years, so there's some things that you hang your hat on, some things that you feel like help you to stand out, or you're really proud of. So what are some of those things for you all that you think of that you really are proud of, you hang your hat on, that maybe make you even stand out from other folks in the industry?
Right. So I was blessed to have the engineering associated with giving back, mentoring, things like that. And my mother, same thing. She was just very involved in the community, doing different things. So what I learned through that was when you get to know the community gets to know you, and it's so much easier to support each other and make connections, because you're like, oh, I might not need that service, or I might not need whatever the thing is, but I know so and so, and you should get to know them. So in helping our clients, whether they're big or small, it's getting to know them, figuring out what is the message that you have, figuring out who and how you need to connect that. So I think that's what I really enjoy, is when a project comes together, because you've gotten to know them so well that you're suggesting something to them that they hadn't even thought about, and they're like, oh, we could do that. And you're like, yeah, and we could create this, which doesn't exist, but this is how we can create it for you. And this is how you would use that product for what you're trying to achieve. And then they're like, oh my gosh. So a good example would be our local police department, and Apex wanted to share the story of that there are just individuals that go into law enforcement. They're just regular people. That's their day job, but they're serving the community, but they're just real people with real lives. And so how to capture that. So we wound up illustrating a storybook with them that told the story. We've done this for some other municipalities since then. So it's just kind of an interesting way to repackage that community policing story in a way that helps people to understand more what value you're bringing, what message you have to share.
Yeah, it's amazing to see how connecting with other people, building relationships locally leads to so many adventures and opportunities beyond just that. And it's fun to hear you get a chance to not only help other people build those relationships, but then do that yourselves. And so as you think about 2026 and what's coming up, are there any initiatives or special projects or community involvement engagements that you're excited about, or that you're maybe getting ready for?
So I don't know, if our team was here, they'd probably say, "Oh, great," because I love ideas and can't get enough of them. And what about this? We could do this. We could try this. And then they're kind of like, could we drill that down to this actionable item or that actionable item? So part of it will be deciding how in the regular pace of workflow to do that. We've also been blessed to learn from our community partners. So an exciting project we did with Fuquay last year was for the coins for the high school to celebrate their 50 year. So it was interesting having grown up in the area to connect with that whole history and then what they wanted to project about the past, the present, and the future, and then put that into something. So we're going to be looking kind of the same direction. You know, where have we been? Where are we now? Where are we going? And we want to continue to take you along that journey.
So, Olivia, I imagine there's many lessons that you've learned in running your own business. And if you could share with us, is there like one or two key lessons that you've learned in running Promotional Partners?
I think some of it is the vernacular we use today. When you're authentic, people know it. Which basically to me is a fancy way of saying just be who you are. And people can spot it when you're not genuine, when you're trying to be something you're not. I think one of the most powerful things that I ever was advised, and it was really something I read in a book or a magazine, I don't even remember the publication, but it was talking about sales, and it said the answer is always no if you don't ask the question. And so it's remembering to get out of your head, you know, and so what if they say no? I mean, they weren't working with you before, so you ask the question. And then I think just for me personally, it's more, I've always gravitated towards, you know, getting my fingers in the middle of it. Life is messy. Good things happen to bad people. Things happen in life. And you just kind of lean into it. And when you can talk that through, other people recognize that. They appreciate that. And you wind up meeting really amazing people because they have texture, they have character. That's why we flip the channel and want to watch the stories and the backstories of how they became this before they became that.
Yeah,
So
that's
makes it interesting.
fantastic. You know, obviously you've had a ton of experience in operating a business, and if someone was thinking about, hey, I want to open a business or I want to jump into a venture, what advice would you offer to an aspiring entrepreneur?
So I'm laughing because I've done mentoring at different times, and there's three things I always say that are very important. One is planning is great. I'm a planner, but you can also overplan to the point that you never jump off the high dive. If you've learned to swim, it's a natural mechanic to take it to the next level and to just go ahead and jump in. So you've got to start somewhere, and you'll just keep modifying that plan as you go along. I think if you do it with a family member or spouse, that's a different dynamic. So I think it's really understanding that it's going to change your relationship. There's never going to be a downtime that you don't communicate about the business. I've heard many people, oh, we're going to be able to separate that. Really? Yes. Do you have children? Yes. Is there ever a time when you don't think about that you have kids? Is there ever a time that you don't talk about what's happening with one of the kids, even on vacation? They're like, no. And then I don't know. I had another. Is that I always tell people if you are starting on a limited financial platform or even investing some of your own money, have a hard stop. Know what you can't go past. I always advise that it's a little like gambling. You know, don't just assume if I put just a little bit more, that will be the juice that will keep it going forward. So you need to have some priorities. You need to have some plan. You need to be flexible enough to kind of change it along the way if you need to. But again, kind of that staying true to who you are and where you're trying to go, and then lean into people in the community. I think that's one of the cool things now, almost 20 years later, that wasn't there before, like launch programs and leadership programs. And there's just so many resources now to really tee up and help people and pay it forward. I would love to have had some access to some of that 20 some years ago, but yeah.
So now you're able to share that with others, which is fantastic. So, you know, kind of going into your business a little bit, is there a favorite type of project that you have that you really like get you going?
Yeah, so there's several that I really like. One is drinkware because now there's so many fascinating ways to decorate it. It has a very large surface, so you can do a lot of things with the surface of the product and really share a story. The other is, again, a bag or something like that that has a large surface, but it's the custom things. So coming from a background of teaching art and being an artist, I like the idea that most people see a product, they assume I'm going to pick this because it exists. So when you tell them, okay, let's just take all that off the table and let's just create for a little while. Let's just think, what if? And you start talking about the what ifs, and they're like, well, where is that? And I'm like, well, it doesn't exist yet, but we can make that. So that's kind of the exciting part. And then it's trying to figure out, how do you make that, make it fit their budget and timeline and all that kind of stuff. So those are the ones I get really excited about. And then it's kind of cool still to drive around town and just see basic things. You pull up behind somebody, you're like, oh, we did that magnet. Oh, they're wearing that hat. Oh, I'm at this event and they're doing that, you know. So there's a lot of that that's still a little fun. You're a little like Santa Claus in the background.
That's cool.
Oh, yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, seeing ideas come to life is always fantastic, and I'm sure you're still getting out into the community. And there's probably some favorite local spots. We always like to hear from our guests. What are some of their favorite places they love to either frequent or go, or different businesses, services they like to use? So, are there any that come to mind for you that you find yourself going back to time and time again?
Yeah, so I grew up in the area. Favorite bench that I got years ago at Bostic and Wilson. My eclectic side, I love to go to K&B. I love to go to the Attic. Go to any store that has, you know, just kind of something unique and that type of thing. We definitely, I'll pass it on. I enjoy going and finding a little bargain, like the fact that it gives back to Interact. The fun that sometimes I'll be at an event and somebody will be like, that's a really cool dress. And I'm like, I did not spend money on that. I bought it at Pass It On. And then, you know, locally, food, love to go to the Bluegrass Bagels. Love the trout at, gosh, I can't think of the name. Mason jar.
Mm-hmm.
This is one of the bad things about getting older. You see it and you can't say the word. But yeah. So
Yeah, all fantastic places around the area here to check out, whether it's food, clothing, whether it's antiques, all of that. And so you strike me as somebody who appreciates continuing to learn and grow and develop. And so being a business owner for 18 years, what are some of the places or resources you love to go to continue to try and learn and develop and grow as a business owner?
Saying that we don't. So there are different types of industries that have certifications, and our industry has those. So I'm both MAS and MASI, which means I've been through 3 transitions in 2 different industry groups that I'm in. I've accumulated hours and hours and hours and hours of professional development. So some are podcasts, some are webinars, some are in person, some are just reading, but then you're tested on the material. So some of it's compliance and learning and safety, all those, you know, really fun things. I always fill out my survey and say, I understand I would get sued if that didn't happen, but could we have somebody who's not an attorney explain that, because it was boring. So those types of things. But also there are through that things that help you with how to planning with your business, marketing strategy, how to social media. I mean, it's changing every single day. I'm fortunate to work with 2 young people, so they're like, no, we could edit that. No, they just added that tool. Great, let's do that. So learning from each other, learning from other businesses, sharing best practices. Those are some other ways. Reading.
Yeah.
Kind of good stuff.
I love the combination of there's certain things that you have to do and then the things you want to do, and then just networking to figure out who can do it better than what I can. And with how fast paced things change nowadays, it's like it's impossible to keep up with everything. So to know who to go to can be really helpful. And so along with that, I always think it's fascinating if there's surprising facts or interesting information about businesses. I know you've shared a lot around your business of getting excited for the 2 decades, but are there any either unique or interesting facts about your business that come to mind that maybe over the years you've come to understand or know, and you're like, oh, this is actually kind of something unique or different?
I feel like pretty much everything unique side of it. I think a lot of people assume with my art background that I'm doing a lot of the art, and I don't. So everybody seems to know whether or not you're a delegator or a micromanager. You know, I have I have pluses, I have minuses. One plus is that I'm not a micromanager, so I just go, well, I'm sure it'll be great. And so other people come up with art, and it's kind of known internally that if I do get involved, everybody's going to groan, because then I'm like, we could make this, and let's try it like that. And they're like, that's going to take a lot of time. And I'm like, I know, but that could be really cool. Or we'll be almost all the way with a client, and then I'll actually jump in and go, have we shown them a such and such? And we're like, no. And they were already like over here. And I'm like, could we please, could we include that? So
I feel like I'm talking to or hearing myself, because I do the same thing. You turn a $100 project into a $500 project, and all of a sudden it's a $10,000 project. Like, wait a minute, the customer wanted a $100 item, right? I mean, let's keep it in check here. So, Olivia, where can our listeners and customers, why not? Where can they find Promotional Partners out there on website and social media? Tell us about that.
So thanks to technology, so you can find our website, which is just Promotional Partners Inc., promotionalpartnersinc.com. I always tell people there's no shopping cart on purpose, because the beauty is working with us, making sure that it fits the timeline, that it's in stock, that it'll work for your imprint area, that kind of thing. You can come visit us, make an appointment, come and check it out, try things on, touch, feel. You can follow us on all our socials, which would be Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn. And then, connect with me personally on LinkedIn. I like connecting to new people and seeing what they're up to. Todd over at the bank and I have kind of a running thing. I ran into him at something last week, and I said, liking and loving all the comments. And he goes, does that mean you owe me something? I said, maybe, I don't know. So then Jeff immediately said, whoa, wait a minute. If he gets something, do I get something? And I said, I'm not noticing you liking and commenting. So
I'm thinking like Todd McIntyre and Jeff Stevens find their way into a podcast.
Yeah.
Somehow, some way. We were making fun of them in the last one. No, great guys. It's fantastic to work with them. So, being a part of the Fuquay Arena Chamber of Commerce, what's your favorite part of being part of a chamber?
We're in several chambers, and I would say that for me, it's just the grassroots meeting people, because there are so many ways to connect, but I just selfishly think that it's impossible to get to know somebody, really get to know them, until you've had interaction with them. You've looked them in the eye, you've had a conversation, and I think it immediately builds that rapport and trust, and you feel like I can share this, or you've gone down this route and you understand that journey, and so I think it just makes it easier to develop the sense of trust that you need in business, because you can have 5,000 contracts and I promise to do this and I will do that, but it's just that one-on-one integrity of knowing that you've met someone, you've gotten to know them, you know their backstory, and you feel more comfortable then when you make the referral, because you're like, hey, this is a really great person, this is why you're going to like them, or I know you guys are going to click, that you've got the right same kind of energy, and you're a fit for each other. Because let's face it, like I said at the beginning of the podcast, we all think everyone wants to be in business with us, but they don't, and we probably don't, and it's finding the fit. And so I think that's an important part of it. So I think chambers of commerce excel in creating programs, tools, events. There's a different way for everybody to plug in, but at its core, it's about getting to know people.
That's fantastic. And Olivia, thank you so much for being on our Better Together podcast. Olivia Scott from Promotional Partners in Apex, and you can also find them online. So you'll see that here at the end of the podcast. And Brad, thanks for another great podcast.
Fantastic conversation. Olivia, thanks so much. Looking forward to probably connecting with you to learn a little bit more about how we can help businesses here, my own included. So, and with that, thank you to our listeners. Join us each week on the Better Together podcast from the Fuquay Arena Chamber of Commerce as we highlight great local businesses. From the Dashmore Conference Room and Studio, sponsored by Rescued Wood Rehab, I am Brad.
And I am Marty.
And we are Better Together.
We're better together. It's a weekly podcast. We're better together. You should know that there's more in the dash. We're better together. Fuquay Arena Chamber of Commerce. Together podcast.